low vibration friends, and 5 signs it's time to move on. If you're watching a video like this, you probably already intuitively sense it's time to move on, but you might have some mixed feelings about it because it's kind of an unusual and challenging circumstance to be in, and yet it's extremely common for people going through a spiritual awakening, because if this is you, you're all of a sudden growing emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally at a much faster rate than you previously were. And it's not at all uncommon to really start to outgrow relationships because you change so much. And even though at one point there was this sacred bond, now it's undeniable that that bond is lacking. It's maybe gone. And anyway, this video is going to share with you 5 of the telltale signs that it is in fact time for you to move on, and at the very least create some distance between you and this particular relationship. Number 1, they don't support your dreams. Maybe you have these new dreams, you want to follow your purpose or something like that, and they think it's silly and they have something kind of negative to say there. All of a sudden your buddy, your friend, this relationship is becoming one of the naysayers. And this happens, I believe anyway, because your dreams, even maybe the energy of you expressing your dreams, makes the person feel bad about themselves. It sheds light on the fact that they're not following their dreams. They're not living an authentic life. And it just, makes them feel kind of bad about themselves. And rather than being inspired by you, it's easier for them, or the way they choose to deal with it is to try to bring you back down. Number 2, the friendship is one-sided. You become their personal coach. Every day they're coming to you with their drama and their problems, and you're holding space for them and you're listening to them, and that's what good friends do. But when it's your turn, when you have an issue or you need some support and guidance, you might find they quickly change the subject, and all of a sudden it somehow becomes about them once again. And this is very frustrating. Also, you might even notice this in terms of like practical reciprocation. Maybe some of the things you're willing to do for them because you love them, you just know, or you've already experienced that when it comes down to it, they're not there for you. Maybe you've helped your friend move at some point, and of course, helping a friend move is a huge pain in the ass. Nobody wants to do that, spend their Sunday all day lifting heavy boxes, but it's a really nice thing to do because moving can be exhausting. I know, I've moved many times, but you do that because that's the type of person you are, that's the type of friend you are, but then when you need them, there's an excuse or there's some sort of way to get out of it, and you know they're sort of BSing you because they just don't want to do it. They're unwilling to reciprocate. They're unwilling to put as much energy and love into the relationship as you are. Another telltale sign, number 3, is you feel exhausted after spending time with them. When you are with a person that is at a similar vibrational frequency as you, and there's an equal exchange of energy, usually you leave that encounter uplifted and excited and kind of inspired even. I am blessed to have a lot of friends in my life that when I hang out with them, it's like I feel charged up. I feel fulfilled spiritually and emotionally, and I feel happy, and I feel like almost buzzing sometimes with energy, because it's like the 2 similar vibrations, at least to me, seem to kind of fuel and support one another. But when it's very lopsided and you're like holding space for this other vibration, we'll say, you might find that you're just like physically done. You need to go home and go to sleep. Mentally, your mind feels tired from all that listening, and you just feel like it's a lot of work and a lot of energy just being around this person that I love, that I care for, that I'm aware I have a bond and a history with, but it is what it is. I feel freaking tired afterwards. Number 4, this friend, this person is not doing their inner work. They might not even know what it is to do inner work. You are. Whether you want to be or are proactive about it or not, you just find yourself like learning life lessons and going through a lot of insights and spiritual growth and shadow work and emotional healing. And you're doing all this stuff because you're going through a spiritual awakening, and it's just changing you to this point where you're becoming more conscious, more authentic, more real, more you, and they're not doing any of it. And it's not about judging them or thinking, oh man, what's their deal? Even though you may have attempted to like plant seeds or recommend a book or say, hey, check out this awesome YouTuber, Victor Oddo. He's this cool dude on YouTube. Just kidding. But you may have tried to like nudge them along the path, but they're just not taking the bait. And it's not that they're a bad person. It's just they're not going through a spiritual awakening. It might just not be their time, even though it's become kind of an issue for you. We all have our different timelines, if you would. But regardless, there's an issue does arise when one person's doing inner work and the other person is not, whether it's a marriage or a friendship or even any kind of relationship for that matter. And finally, number 5, you didn't even need this video because you probably already intuitively feel guided to, at the very least, create some distance, some space between you and this person. But you feel bad. You feel guilty about it. You have mixed feelings about it. And maybe you look at this person and you see who they could be, who they have the potential to become, but just don't really show up as that person all that often. You're not dealing with their potential. You're dealing with them as they are. But there's a history. There's a bond. I've had friends that were, dear, dear brothers to me since like childhood. And then, decades later, all of a sudden, it's like, it's not the same. All the signs I shared were very much present. And it was extremely sad. It was sad to like say goodbye to that sort of history. I felt like a bad friend because we have been buddies for so long. And despite of that, though, I had this like knowing, like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. It's draining me. It's not fair to me. I love myself too much now to subject myself to this imbalanced energy and relationship. And what I found is that these distances will be created one way or the other. And if you hold, I've learned that when I would hold on and deny and suppress and ignore my intuition, it would end in some way, usually unnecessarily explosive and more like painful and dramatic than if I was to kind of listen to my intuition earlier on and come up with some kind of creative solution, some kind of nice way of creating, increasing levels of distance to where the other person might not even notice. And I'll tell you what, them being around you is also probably hard for them. Because the brighter you shine, the more light you shed upon their own shadow, and they come to associate you with like feeling bad about themselves anyway. So you may be surprised at how welcomed it is by them as well, even if they don't understand like the energy dynamic playing out. But one thing I want to leave you with, something very important, something that inspired this video, a dream last night I had about a good friend of mine who passed away about a year ago. His name was Theyre. And he's the one that kind of inspired this entire video. He was like a dear brother to me. We were friends since 4th grade. And then we became like best friends in 6th grade and hung out pretty much every single day of our life up until like even after high school. We got into trouble together. We had jobs together. We got into drug addiction together. We got clean together. We moved out of state together. We lived together. We worked together, and we were literally like brothers. So when it came time for me to become aware of all these signs I just shared and then create that distance, it was it felt impossible. It felt like I can't do it. But eventually it did happen. And one of the things I've learned though is to give people a chance to come around. I've learned that clinging to a friendship out of guilt, it's almost like you're holding both of yourselves back. But when you create that distance, they may get a message. They may learn something from that. Why is Victor, why are this person that I like peeling away? Well, maybe they start to look at themselves and then they kind of bounce up, which can happen. I've made the mistake of counting people out and deeming them as a low vibration person, and I'm on the different path, and they're here, and the train tracks are splitting, as Bashar would say, and that's that. But what I've learned is that if you allow them to split, they can come back. And shortly before my buddy died, we played phone tag, and he would call me, and I would be busy and I wouldn't pick up, and then I would call him and he wouldn't pick up, and we did this a few times, and then it just sort of fizzled out. We never spoke, and then he passed away. And even this low vibration person, man, I would do anything to have another day with him, another conversation with him. And I wish I wouldn't have been so judgmental and called them a low vibration person. Maybe they still were, I don't know. Perhaps so. But regardless, I have no way of rectifying that. And I've learned again that give people a chance to come around, because you never know what's going to spark somebody into their awakening. Who knows? Maybe it's you creating that distance. But I believe in people. And I know there was a time in my life when I was a complete freaking mess. I was a low vibration friend, and something happened to me. I attracted the things I needed to wake me up. And my awakening was kind of quick and jolting and set me off on a path very, very abruptly. And I believe that same thing can happen to anybody. But it comes down to us loving ourselves enough to demand more harmony, more peace, and more love, and more fairness in our life. Anyways, my friends, hope this video helps you in some way. I'll be in touch. Have an amazing day. Peace.